The terror threat level in Belgium has been raised to maximum. Now, precautions are also being taken here in the United States. Airports in cities like Miami, Washington, New York, and Los Angeles are stepping up security.
Joining me right now is retired Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann. He is a former Green Beret, Special Forces veteran, as well as an ISIS expert. We certainly thank you for being here. You live in Riverview right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You bring a unique perspective to all of this because of your time in service on the battlefield in the areas where Iraq, Afghanistan, where Al-Qaeda and ISIS are most active. As you watched today's events unfold in Brussels, was it sort of more of what you expected we would continue to see in the West?
Yeah, Jennifer, I think we need to have a pretty sober conversation about ISIS right now. I think the typical thing for us to do is we see this happen and we stop for a second, we stop whatever we're doing, we gasp at it, and then we go back to our lives. And the fact of the matter is this attack in Brussels, Belgium was actually forecasted by ISIS after the attacks of Paris. They said this is the first of many to come, and it will be. ISIS is not done with us yet, and it's time, I think, for Americans to step back and really take pause at what's going on in Europe, because it's probably heading our way at some point.
And that's what I'm curious about. Based on your experience, not only in the field, but also in your study, I mean, you wrote a book called Game Changer that talks about the fact that we have to have a different strategy to deal with the terror threat, both Al-Qaeda and now, in particular, ISIS. Seeing these images, as you see on the screen right now, the airport, people fleeing, do you think that that is imminent for the U.S.? I mean, we're certainly seeing increased security here, but people do continue to go about their lives. We saw spring break travelers at TIA. What's your thought process, having written the book and been in the field?
Yeah, look, I mean, we do have to go about our lives. I mean, we don't want to spend our lives in fear, but at the same time, you know, sticking our head in the sand and pretending that this threat doesn't exist, or even worse, following this trend of political correctness to not even name our enemy, that's irresponsible and it's dangerous. And that's what I see a lot of our politicians doing these days, instead of taking the threat head on and seeing them for who they are.
Okay, so we don't have a lot of time left, but what's the solution?
Well, I believe the solution involves a bottom-up strategy where we go into these rough places where they live. Green Berets learned this in Afghanistan, and we help locals in these places like Iraq and Syria fight them from the bottom up. We have the talent and the capability to do this. Our nonprofit Mission America is putting forward a contract to protectamerica.org, and we need every Tampa Bay resident watching this to go to that, read this 10-point petition, and let's demand our politicians take change and strategy change in 2016. We've been in the longest war in our nation's history, and my kid and our kids are going to be fighting this thing if we don't change it.
Scott Mann, thank you very much for coming in and giving us your perspective. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again in the days ahead. We appreciate it.
Thanks.